Most people, including me, treat job loss like an emergency. And to be fair, it can be. Financially, emotionally, logistically, it is a lot. But the instinct to immediately fix your resume or spend hours on LinkedIn is actually the worst place to start. Not only can it send you in the wrong direction, it can be a huge waste of your time and energy. There's a better way. When it comes to career setbacks, the climb back begins in this order: spiritual, strategic, and then tactical. Trying to start with tactics is like scrambling up a mountain without a compass, a map, or water. You're going to get tired fast and probably wind up lost, but you don't have to. I'm going to unpack each of these steps in today's post. Hi, I'm Laverne McKinnon, and welcome to the Moonshot Mentor community. If you're navigating a career transition, whether you're stepping up, shifting paths, or starting over, you're in the right place. I'm a career strategist and a grief recovery specialist, and I love helping ambitious professionals move through change with clarity, strategy, and a renewed sense of purpose. You don't have to figure this out all alone. Let's open the door to new possibilities together. Okay, let's start out with the first step after job loss, and that's the spiritual step, which means you're making space for what you're feeling. Because job loss isn't just a logistical problem, it can rupture your identity, confidence, and your sense of belonging. And it strikes at the very heart of what makes us feel safe and secure. After all, we live in a culture where so much of our worth is tied to what we do. This is a very, very big deal. And if you skip over that rupture, the emotional weight, it doesn't just disappear. It gets stuffed in your backpack, heavy and gunky as you start your climb. So hit pause. Even if it feels counterintuitive, that panic voice in your head, of course it's scared, but don't let it be in charge. Build a cozy fire, light a candle, pull out your journal, call your bestie. Unpack what's been lost. Name what hurts. For me, when my role in the entertainment industry wound down, I knew enough not to leap into job applications. I journaled, I walked, I read. Eventually, I made an art piece where I made a fish out of tattered clothing. It was a kind of like a stuffy, and it represented several things. The first was the exhaustion of swimming upstream for years in a collapsing industry. The tattered clothing element was the literal unraveling of an industry. And then finally, feeling like a fish out of water as I entered a new career. When we allow our emotions to speak, the panic quiets and clarity can finally get a word in. So the second step is taking a look at the strategic plan. And you want to ask what you actually want next from this grounded place of having soothed your nervous system, pushed the panic voices aside. Because then you start to ask yourself the bigger questions. What really matters now? What do I want this next leg of my life to look like? For most of us, I imagine that we're going to say, paying my bills, taking care of my family, not losing my home or my health insurance. Yes, yes, yes. But keep going. Ask yourself what's shifted in your values and what matters more or less now than it did a year ago. For me, ambition and achievement used to drive everything in my early career. But once I got still, I realized that those values didn't matter so much to me, and what I want now is more freedom, more time, and to be paid fairly for my work. That realization, it changed everything. And it helped me understand that I no longer wanted to climb back into a corporate role. I wanted to build something that was aligned with who I'd become. Now, to be clear, being strategic is not about analyzing your resume. It's about the bigger picture elements. So this is your chance to align your next move with your actual values, not just a job title. So now we're going to move into executing the tactical, and it's only after the foundation is set. So once the foundation is set, you can take action like polishing your resume, optimizing your LinkedIn, networking with intentionality. Because once you've done that spiritual and that strategic work, your tactics aren't reactive. They're aligned, and they come from a place of clarity, not chaos or panic. So I want to bring this all alive by looking at a case study. My client, who I'm going to call Alex, was burnt out, and then she was able to craft a new beginning. She'd been a nurse for over 20 years when she just finally hit a wall. And so burnt out, she left her job. It was her choice. She made the decision. But afterwards, she had this unexpected wave of grief. And thinking that she just needed to get busy and stay busy, she applied to every job she could find, tech roles, admin gigs, jobs that she knew in her gut were absolutely not right for her. And of course, nothing clicked. When we started working together, the first thing we did was press the pause button because Alex was applying to anything that might stick so she didn't have to sit with that confusing mix of emotions, relief, sadness, regret, longing. She was grieving not her job. What she was grieving was she missed her work friends, the sense of purpose, the rhythm of being needed, and she missed knowing that she made a difference. So we moved through that spiritual step, and she was able to understand the emotional weight. We named the hidden losses and we created space for them. And then once her nervous system was more grounded and regulated, we turned toward strategy. And what happened when we focused on strategy was that Alex's core values began to bubble up of belonging and impact. They were still very much alive and intact. But other values had actually shifted, and she no longer wanted the adrenaline rush of being constantly on call. She no longer saw the paycheck as worth the cost of her mental health, and she no longer needed to chase her external validation. And what emerged was a new sense of clarity. What emerged was a different vision. She still loved caring for people. She still had deep knowledge of the medical system. She still wanted to use her skills of critical thinking, communication, crisis management, patient education, attention to detail, but in a new way. Alex launched a business as a private patient advocate. And it was only after she did the spiritual and strategic work that we moved into the tactical. Alex scheduled informational interviews. She developed a business model. She enrolled in the board-certified patient advocate program to get a credential. And then she started letting people know she was taking on a few clients, and it grew from there. Without the spiritual and strategic foundation, Alex would have never gotten to this place because she had been reacting to the loss of her job. But through the work, she was then responding to the truth of who she had become. Bottom line, don't rush running up the mountain without a map, a compass, or water. If you've just lost your job or you've chosen to leave your job, slow down before you speed up. First, tend to the part of you that's hurting. Do the spiritual work. Then ask what kind of life you want to build next. Get really strategic in mapping out a vision for what you want your life to look like. And then you lace up your boots and start moving up the mountain. Don't just scramble for the summit. Choose your path, lighten your pack, and move with intention. Okay, that is it for today. If you're not yet a paid Moonshot Mentor Substack subscriber and you want more support to stay motivated, to feel less alone, and move through your career transitions with strategy, purpose, come join my Substack community. It's $5 a month, and you get exclusive journal prompts, you get guided meditations, live workshops, and an amazing community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals. You can sign up at moonshotmentor.substack.com, and you'll also find all of my socials and ways to work with me there. Big thanks to Lynn Chen for the editing and social media expertise. You can follow her at Ms. Lynn Chen. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Until next week, keep going after your moonshot.